Hello, and welcome to this week's retrospective of my Human in the Loop series, where I am doing two things: putting myself into an AI loop, saying how you work with AI, and also looking at how far business productivity needs to move or be changed when working with AI. And the industry I've chosen to do that in is media publishing and events, because that's the one I've spent the last 25 years in. All is useful context to this week's retrospective, because one of the things that I've been grappling with is, what does great content look like in the age of AI? And I realized that one of the things that I can possibly provide is to interpret all the announcements and capabilities that are coming out of the AI space into how those could be useful for a small business. So never mind the fact that I spend most of my time in media and events, they were all kind of small businesses where you were grappling with things that actually, unless you've actually done it, no one really realizes what the real nuances are within a small business. And when I say small business, I'm talking 10 million pound turnover kind of businesses. So obviously at start there were less than that. And I've also worked in big companies, but big companies is mostly about spreadsheet and politics, right? So, getting something done there is just institutional inertia, basically. So that's how I feel I'm going to go forward in terms of sharing content. What we built this week then is solving two really big pain points within when you're publishing, which is semantic linking and automating that. I'll show that in a different video. And that is important because even though there might be a big question around the value of Google as a search engine, the new thing that's coming in is answer engine optimization. So when you go into Perplexity, you ask a question, how do you make sure that you are one of those links? And semantic linking is still part of it. Some of those core SEO best practices need to be translated and done better. And the other one is a personal bugbear of mine, which is that further reading, like here's more stuff. And you look at the more stuff and you're like going, this just looks random. It makes no sense to the context of the article. So those are two things we built. The other big thing that we're working on is moving platforms in terms of where digititingevents.com sits. And that's not just to do it because I like shiny new things. It actually goes back to my earlier point about what does great content look like. And I believe that great content is you telling a story. And if you're telling a story, and we need to up the level of telling the story, because the volume and velocity game, I don't think is going to work, because, a GPT can write 3,000 words super quickly. So that notion that Google put on it on length of articles, going, hey, if it's long, it's well researched, that's gone out the window. So what is it now? And I believe it is on the page storytelling. How do you tell that story? What animations can you put in? What graphics can you put in? And so on. And in order to do that, you need a platform that allows you to do that. So that's why we did that. And we learned some things along the way, which I'll share for anybody who's wanting to move on to the platform that we've chosen from some other platform. There's some very useful automations that we built. One of the last things in terms of going forward this week is about starting to really double down on creating content like that and what that looks like around what I call the AI triangle. So personal productivity, business productivity, and AI business models. And finally, I've had some really nice comments on the other videos requesting shows and tells about how I built certain things. So that is another big thing on the agenda this week, to get those cemented, shipped, and shared with you guys. So again, thank you so much for commenting and sharing your thoughts on those, helping to steer which ones we do first. And the final thing I'd like to say, if you have any ideas of what I should be trying in this human in the loop experiment, from the point of view of personal productivity, from the point of view of the delivery of a website, for want of a better word, digitizing events, that talks about this issue of that we need to change the narrative about how we put humans in the loop, how we empower us to work with AI in order to make sure that we are not falling on the trap of this ridiculous Silicon Valley narrative where all that's coming out is, oh, AI is going to get rid of loads and loads of jobs. That's just not helpful. Thank you for watching, and thank you for subscribing and commenting. I really appreciate it.